Prabhu Dayal, former senior diplomat, also joins us. Welcome, sir. Welcome to DD India. Appreciate you giving us your precious time. India and the US have signaled the resumption of trade talks. Tell us, how significant is this moment for both the countries, India and the US?
Well, thanks for having me on your show. I think it's a very good development that there is an easing of the tensions and that things will be getting back to normal because there had been a setback to Indo US trade ties. The negotiations which were going on for the trade deal had been halted, and there was considerable unhappiness in India about the tariffs which had been imposed by President Trump on Indian exports to the United States. Now, both sides uh, would have stood to lose because of the escalating tensions. Of course, India never wanted to escalate. I think India had made it very clear that it wanted the trade negotiations to reach their culmination and a good trade deal to be announced. But President Trump had imposed these tariffs, and that had halted the progress in this direction. Now it's a good sign that things are getting back on rail. President Trump has said that India and the US will continue the trade negotiations. President Modi has also responded with great warmth. And this time tested relationship, which is good for both sides, is going to be resumed in the normal fashion. And that is indeed very, very good for both sides.
Master Dayal, also Prime Minister Modi, in fact, has called President Trump a close friend. I was asking this from Saurabh also. Trump too, in his Truth Social post, how much do personal equations, the chemistry, the camaraderie matter in shaping bilateral outcomes?
Well, you know, the personal equation does matter. And President Trump and Prime Minister Modi have always had a good personal equation. There has been warmth between them. And this factor certainly may have helped to ease the tensions. I think both are very sensible leaders. Both work for the good of the two countries. And it's a good positive sign that the two sides will be resuming negotiations in trade related issues, and that things will be moving forward as we all want, because a good bilateral relationship is good for the United States, it's good for India. Both sides have worked strenuously to make this relationship strong, and these recent tensions which have come up will hopefully be eliminated. India has taken the right approach in this regard because it was very clear that India needed to protect its domestic constituencies. And the US seems to have got the point. It is understanding in this regard. So I think that we might be seeing very positive developments taking place in this context.
Absolutely positive and significant development taking place.
If I
Ambassador
can add
Dayal,
something.
stay with us. Yes, Saurabh, go on.
Yeah, if I can, and Ambassador Dayal, I have the highest respect for him. He served as India's Consul General in New York and did an amazing job. And as he was rightly saying, that the personal chemistry has a key role to play. And I can tell you from insiders here in White House and in Washington, D.C., that the personal chemistry that President Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have can settle the biggest issues between the two countries. And this is just a small tip of the iceberg. I can tell you that there were naysayers who were trying to derail the partnership, but it is because of the personal chemistry and the respect that he attaches to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, and also the warmth that was demonstrated to President Trump, whether during his first term when he visited India for a great state visit, and Howdy Modi when Prime Minister Modi came here, he still remembers that. And those are things which echo in his mind, and that's the reason why they agree also to India's standpoint, that India wants to protect its national interest, and obviously as a good friend it will try to meet the US as a middle ground kind of a solution. But obviously you have to agree to disagree on certain issues. I think what has really helped in this turnaround is this personal chemistry, and I've been saying right from the beginning that this is something which guides the relationship, especially when you have President Trump in the White House, who gives a very high priority to personal chemistry over other issues. And he's somebody who can do any deal as long as he's convinced that the person on the other side is his friend. And obviously, in this case, Prime Minister Modi is somebody he accords the highest amount of respect. So I think we have some good thing going. And I also feel that not only will a phone call happen, but in soon should expect some kind of a meeting between the two leaders as well.
Ambassador Dayal, you think it was a little harsh? I mean, 50% of tariff on India, 20%, 25% additional, 25% initial. What do you think, went wrong between India and the US earlier? If you can use this, if you can say this. And when also do we expect the talks to happen? Both the leaders are saying that talks will happen soon. When do we expect that to happen? Anytime soon?
Well, I think the talks would be resuming. But, President Trump's tactic was to put pressure on India and make India agree to the trade deal. Yeah. And that's fair, because when you are negotiating with the other side, then you use every possible tactic. And he was also keen to make India stop buying the oil from Russia, because he wants Russia to come under economic pressure. He doesn't want anybody to buy oil from Russia because he's negotiating the Russia-Ukraine peace deal. And if Russia is weakened economically, then perhaps it could come under pressure to work out a deal with Ukraine. So in this geopolitical context, he had imposed these 25% additional tariffs on India. But the fact of the matter is that Prime Minister Modi never said anything which was adverse about President Trump. And President Trump also never used any phrase or any word which was hurtful to Prime Minister Modi. That showed that the equation is very, very good. It stayed strong. Both sides were negotiating for their respective countries and were trying to work out a trade deal as favorable to themselves as possible. So, as they say, all is fair in love and war, and the war seems to be coming to an end, the trade war, and I think we are headed for good times, which is really, really encouraging for both sides.
Saurav is also with us. We are heading for good times. Ambassador Dayal is saying
agree.
We expect the talks to happen soon.
Let me say, Ambassador Dayal is a great debater. I know his background from his college days, but I can tell you what he's saying, the good times. I would say the good times are yet to come, because this relationship is really, really multifaceted, and there are so many things that the two countries can do together. So I think minor hiccups do not define our partnership, and I think both the leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump, are committed to taking this relationship forward, and I do hope something good will come out of these negotiations, and you will see in the days to come, things will be much better.
Also, Saurabh, on the broader partnership, beyond trade, how does this dialogue fit into the wider India-US strategic cooperation, be it maybe defense, technology or global security?
Well, absolutely. Global security is a key centerpiece. In fact, I should tell you that even when a lot of naysayers were saying that, India and the US are fighting a trade war, the relationship is it's a lowest point or something. India and the US were having defense exercises. India and the US, strategic level, official level talks were going on. So nothing really stopped. If you ask me, there is a clear messaging here from the US and Washington DC as well, that India is a very important partner, whether it's in Indo-Pacific, or whether on defense cooperation, on strategic cooperation, also on multilateral cooperation. India and the US not only work together bilaterally, they've also been coordinating positions on multilateral issues as well. So I think that will continue. And what happens is that trade is just one element, but it's an important element of the partnership. And yes, these tariffs of 50% were unfair. And obviously, that message was communicated to the US side, and they understood. And they also realized, as Ambassador Dayal was saying, that President Trump uses tariff as not only as a pressure tactic, but he thinks of this as a diplomatic weapon. He wanted to put pressure on Russia and obviously thought that tariffs will work. But now he has seen the other side also, that India has made him realize that the much wider bilateral partnership can get impacted if this kind of a logjam continues. And that's the reason why you see not only a rapprochement, but I think I would say that this is a social hug of sorts, where both the leaders have decided and sent out a clear message to their officials to conclude this deal and make sure that the brighter part of the US-India partnership can come out on the fore.
Absolutely. Hope everything goes well, and both leaders have indeed spoken about unlocking limitless potential, and will continue tracking this evolving story, developing story, and bring you regular updates on what this means for India's trade policy, global partnerships, and economic future. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Saurabh Shukla, for your inputs from Washington, DC, and Ambassador Dayal for your insights.